Welcome to Education Forum. I'm Herman Badillo, Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the City University. The improvement of education affects all New Yorkers. This program will focus on the key educational issues and challenges before us all. My guest today is Dr. Lois Kronholm, who is the interim president of Baruch College. Dr. Kronholm has an outstanding history. She is a biologist. She got a degree, bachelor's degree in biology summa cum laude from the University of Louisville, and then got her doctorate from the university. She was a full professor at the university and then became the dean of the University of Louisville and of Temple University, and then came to New York City, where she was the provost at Baruch and is now the interim president of Baruch College. It would be useful, I think, to all of us if you tell us something about Baruch College. What is the size of the student body and what courses are offered at Baruch? I graduated from Baruch when it was only Baruch School of the City College, yes, majoring in accounting and economics, but since then it's grown quite considerably.
Yes, Baruch College is one of the senior colleges of the City University. We are the college that specializes in professional education and particularly in business. We are best known for our business education. We have the only accredited School of Business in the City University. But we do also have very important programs in the arts and sciences, and we also have the only School of Public Affairs in the City University. We have about 15,000 students, about 12,000 undergraduates, and the remainder, of course, graduate students. We have a very large MBA program. We actually, about 85% of our students get degrees in business, and Baruch College graduates more students with business degrees than any college in the country. But we like to describe ourselves as being the best and not just the biggest.
Now you are growing, right? Because there's a new building that's going up. You're located, the basic building is the one that I went to on 23rd Street on Lexington Avenue. Yes. But since then you have expanded considerably and a beautiful new building is going up. Tell us about that one.
Yes, there was a time when Baruch's most important problem might have been described as its facilities, because we are in several leased buildings in addition to the wonderful historic building that you talk about, which was the site of the original Free Academy. But 4 years ago, we moved into a renovated building on 25th in Lexington, and now we are planning on moving somewhere in 2001 into a magnificent new academic complex. This is a brand new building that was approved by the Dormitory Authority for us. Over 750,000 square feet. It will house the School of Business and the School of Arts and Sciences, our executive programs, and it will, for the first time in the history of Baruch, provide extensive campus-type facilities for our students. It is being referred to by the architects as a vertical urban campus.
Mm-hmm. Will the student body be larger when this building is completed?
Well, our enrollment continues to increase. We have enjoyed an increase of 1 or 2% every year, and we are particularly oriented toward an increase in our graduate student population. We are starting an excellent new MBA program, as well as new master's programs in arts and sciences and public affairs, and we expect to have a substantial increase in the graduate students. But we also have had a continual increase in our undergraduate population.
Now, Baruch has one of the highest standards of admission of the City University colleges. Yes. If I wanted to go to Baruch in the fall or next January, what requirements would I have to meet?
You would have to have really the extensive preparation at the high school level, 4 units of academic courses in mathematics and in English. We have found with very careful studies that it is what you studied that is really more important than the grades, although we do have very high average grades for the students who come into Baruch. But we find that students who take extensive mathematics may have a slightly lower average than students who take much easier subjects, but they do much better at Baruch College.
So what average would I need to have at high
we
school?
do not have a minimum average, but we know that our average tends to run about between 87. We have between 87 and 90, typical of the average of the students who come
Well, that's
into
pretty high,
Baruch.
right?
It's quite high. It is very high.
Now tell me about the student body. What percentage would you say are men and what percentage women, and also what is the ethnic distribution?
We have a little over 50% of the students are female, which is becoming more and more typical in higher education. We have one of the most diversified student bodies in the country. About 1/3 of our students are non-native students. Most of them are from Asia, although we have students literally from over 100 countries at Baruch College. And about 1/3 of our students are what would be called traditional students, and then about 1/3 are a mixture of some older students and students from a variety of backgrounds within this country.
So what would you say is the average age of the students when they come in the freshman class?
Our students tend to be much more of a traditional college age. Most of our students are students who come right out of high school.
And do you have students who have come here from foreign countries where they have to take English as a second language?
Oh yes, a very large number of our students are non-native speakers, and that's an important issue. They tend to be much better in mathematics than students who have studied in this country, but they do need help in English as a second language, which we do not consider the same as remediation.
And how long does it take for them to become fluent in English?
We only accept students whose requirement for English as a second language courses is at the highest level. And so they really only have really the equivalent of 1 semester plus a summer immersion program to become fluent. But most of our students who meet our admission standards will be ready for our regular courses after a summer program and possibly 1 semester in the ESL program.
Now, the students who graduate in accounting, for example, do you find that they immediately become employable in the New York City area?
We have a very, very high rate of employment of Baruch students directly in the subject which they studied. When I first got to Baruch College, I met with a number of persons in human resources from the various accountancy firms, for example, because that's always been one of our largest program. And I find that Baruch students are very much welcomed by the accountancy companies. They're also in very prominent places in finance and computer science. We have a very high rate of employment of our students.
Well, I found when I graduated from Baruch that even though I still had a strong Spanish accent, the fact that I had graduated from Baruch meant that I was acceptable at any CPA firm in the city.
Yes.
Because they felt that it had very high standards.
Yes, we are considered to be certainly one of the very best. Interestingly enough, I discovered when I first got to Baruch, which was in 1992, that the only issue they had of our students was not their technical training, but their communication skills, which is a national problem. And 4 years ago, I started an extensive communication program, which I think, as you know from being on the board, is being used as the model for
Now,
the
when you
City
say
University.
communication, you mean speaking or writing?
Both. We insist on both speaking and writing, and we have extensive courses throughout the entire curriculum. So if you are in marketing or management or accountancy or mathematics or the sciences, as well as in philosophy or history, you are expected and required to write in those courses.
In terms of passing the CPA exam, do you have a record of how the Baruch students do?
Yes, Baruch has a very high pass rate, and in fact, the CPA exam at Baruch College is one of the areas in which, of the City University colleges, in which exceeds the national average. And a lesser known figure is one part of the CPA exam, as I'm sure you know, is the law exam.
Mm-hmm.
And frequently, Baruch students rank as either first or second in the entire country on the law portion of the CPA exam.
Well, I'm both a lawyer and a CPA, and I can tell you the CPA exam is 10 times harder than the bar exam. But the interesting thing is that if you answer the bar exam as a CPA, you'll flunk. And if you answer the CPA exam as a lawyer, you flunk, even though you have to separate the two professions and be sure that you answer the CPA exam based upon what you studied in accounting and the bar exam based upon what you studied in law school. Otherwise, you get into trouble.
Well, as a matter of fact, we prepare our students very carefully. We have a whole department of people with JD degrees who teach the law portion, and as well as very large faculty in accountancy, and so our students are very well groomed for the CPA exam.
So basically, Baruch has three skills: the business school, the
Public
affairs school,
and arts and sciences.
And arts and sciences.
Right.
Now, when you say public affairs, what is in that?
Public affairs is associated with public policy. It is associated with social issues. It is associated with educational issues. It is the school which focuses on, for example, private partner relationships, which are increasingly important in government. We have programs dealing with housing issues, programs dealing with economic issues of women and minorities.
Is that similar to political science or different?
It certainly is. It's related to political science, and several of our excellent faculty members in the School of Public Affairs come from political sciences, like Professor Douglas Muzio, who's a member of that school and who came from the political science department at Baruch when we created the school. We created that school because we felt that when we examined our original mission, when we did a plan over 7 years ago, that Baruch College needed to extend itself in terms of public administration, public policy, and public affairs, and that was important for us, but would still keep us closely centered within our mission. We believe very strongly in differentiated missions, and we believe that people need to focus on their mission. I have a motto that great universities became that way by limiting themselves to what they can do best, and mediocre universities became that way by trying to do everything to everyone.
Okay. We'll be back after these announcements.
When you're small, the world can seem pretty big. But these kids are learning more about it every day. Because in his spare time, Harry Cooper teaches the children in his neighborhood how to use a computer. And every time he does, he puts the whole world in their hands. Couldn't you do something? No, it's not your money. It's you we want. Come on, pick up that phone.
A kid I had.
Welcome back. My guest today is Dr. Lois Kronholm, who is the interim president of Baruch College of the City University. Now, Baruch College started this whole problem of remediation that we have been struggling with because Baruch College decided that they could eliminate remediation. How is it that you came up, of all of the city colleges in the City University, how did you come to that decision, and why could you do it?
Well, our study, interestingly enough, did not start with the idea of not having remediation. It started with the idea of seeing what characteristics do students have to come to Baruch and succeed. And so we looked at cohorts of students over a period of 5 or 6 years, and we saw that, as I mentioned before, that the most important thing was how many units of English and mathematics had they taken. We then looked at the relationship between the number of units of English and math that predicted success and saw how much remediation did those students need. And we found an almost perfect correlation between remediation and preparedness by virtue of high school units. So we discovered that if we raised our admission standards to the numbers of units which students needed to do well at Baruch, that we did not need remediation, that we should not have remediation, that if you come into Baruch College needing remediation, no matter how long you stay there, the probabilities are that you will not graduate, at least not for some years after you would graduate if you came in with preparation.
Now, when you decided to eliminate, or you came to the conclusion you didn't need remediation, was that something that the entire faculty participated in?
Yes, interestingly enough, the movement for this actually started with the faculty. Some years ago, the business faculty demanded that we initiate a policy in which no student could come into any business course until they had completed remediation. And it was really when we looked at how the students were doing who came into the college with remediation and saw that there was not a good future for them. That is really what started it. Our faculty have been very, very much behind this. Every policy that we created went to all of the appropriate departments, and most of this was done through the English and the math department. There has been very general agreement. Of course, there are some people who do not agree with it, but in general, there has been a very high level agreement at Baruch College about this.
Now, you've already eliminated remediation,
Yes.
beginning when?
September 1998, we had remediation only for continuing students who came in having been promised that they could have the remediation. So for continuing students, we offered one more semester, but we have offered no new students remediation since
So
September.
now you have about 1 year's experience in
Yes.
eliminating remediation.
Yes.
What has been the result?
Well, the result is, I think, what might be predicted, that we have a very high rate of retention of the freshman students who have come in, that we have the faculty report that they can increasingly increase their standards to college level. One of the hidden costs of remediation that you can't put a dollar figure on is what happens in the classroom when a faculty is facing a number of students who cannot do mathematics, I mean really very simple mathematics, or who cannot speak or read or write. It has a terribly depreciating effect on the ability of the faculty to teach at the college level, and it's very difficult for the students who were in there who expected to have college level courses. That's a cost of remediation that is not very often spoken of, but I think it's one of the very highest costs. Our faculty are delighted at what they are seeing. In fact, they are so pleased that it's not uncommon for me to get blue books now that the faculty say, we really want you to see how well students are doing in our classes now.
So why do you think that you were able to do this at Baruch, and why hasn't this caught on at the other colleges at the City University?
Well, I think that the way we did it at Baruch College is very important. I think the fact that the motivation came so much from our own faculty is important. But I think the fact that we did this with a great deal of care. We didn't just suddenly pronounce that there would be a policy. We did a very careful study before we drew any conclusions about what we should do. You know, I find it very discouraging that the argument about remediation is being made on such an emotional level on both sides. And I don't think it should be. It's too important to discuss emotionally. This should be based upon facts, upon the data that are available, and that, I believe, is the main reason we succeeded, is because we did this with great care. And also, we did do it with a tremendous amount of consultation. We spent almost a year working directly with our mathematics and our English department to get advice about what we were doing and how we should do it.
Now, do you think the fact that the Board of Regents has promulgated tougher standards for high school graduates beginning shortly, do you think that that will make it possible for the other senior colleges to eliminate remediation?
Yes, I think that we're going to go through a very traumatic transitional period, because the schools cannot convert immediately, nor can the colleges. But the only logical answer to this is for the schools to insist that the students learn or have learned at the appropriate level before they get a diploma. There is no logic in...
You mean before they get a high school diploma?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There is no logic in colleges repeating high school level courses. There is no logic to it. And my motto, as you know, is we need to reform the system and quit trying to reform the students.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do, as you know,
know.
for a long time,
Yes.
because it begins very early. I mean, the whole idea of social promotion leads to students being promoted into high school and getting a high school diploma when they can't perform.
Yes, and social promotion is a tragic concept anyway, because it was promulgated with the idea that it would help the esteem of students. I don't know of anything more harmful to self-esteem than to be put into a situation in which you know you cannot perform.
Yeah. Now, you also have developed something at Baruch College, which is called the Baruch Preparatory Program.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The preparatory program goes to this concept that the place to reform the system is in the schools before the students get out of the schools. And so on a pilot project now, we are working with several schools.
High schools.
High schools, yes, in which we go into the high school. We start out at the freshman level to encourage students to take very seriously their academic preparation, pointing out to them how quickly those 4 years are going to go, how important it is for them to go to college, and how they must take their academic subjects seriously if they're going to want to make it into a good college. We also have installed computers for email access into each of these schools, so that throughout their 4 years, the students can be in contact with our advisors and our faculty. But the most extensive part of the program is that we test the juniors with our admissions exams, with the skills test. And any student who does not have a passing grade, we caution them that, frankly, unless there is some intensive intervention, they probably will not make it into Baruch College or into any other college which is selective.
So what do you propose, that they go to summer school or
No,
something like that?
we go into the schools and we form partnerships with the high school teachers, so that we match our faculty with the high school teachers, and we go into the schools and we work on these skills with the students while they are still in the high school. There is no cost to them. There is no cost to the high schools. Our faculty, we have faculty who are delighted to do this because they believe in it. It's part of their workload. And then at the end of this experience, we then will be testing these students to see if on retest they now pass the skills test.
Now, how do you work that program? Do you work it through the Board of Education at 110 Livingston Street, or to the district superintendents, or through the principals of the high schools?
At all levels. It really needs to work primarily at the school level, but
The
we
principals
started
of the
out
high
at the
schools.
principals, but we started out at Livingston and they were very enthusiastic. We then went to the district superintendents where we got similar enthusiasm, and we then went to the principals and we met with the principals and the teachers, and the cooperation we have received has been quite remarkable. High school principals, many of them, if their voice is allowed to be heard, will tell you that they agree that it is in their schools that this needs to be done. And in fact, I have been talking to the president of Washington Irving High School about starting an organization that we have called Presidents and Principals in Partnership to attempt to instill these kinds of values throughout the school system.
Well, it would seem to me that that program should be extended to every single high school in the city, because it will take quite a long period of time before social promotion is eliminated in all grades. And in the meantime, we're going to lose a lot of students,
I
or
agree.
get students who are going to need so much remediation they'll drop out.
I absolutely agree, Mr. Dale. I think that the city and the state needs to make a massive investment into these programs. They started out in the community colleges being called College Now.
That was at Kingsborough.
At Kingsborough. And then when the City University asked the senior colleges to write proposals, we were very pleased that ours was selected for the pilot program. And I feel almost a sense of desperation about the urgency of having these programs in every high school, because we could face the enormous tragedy of a large percentage of the students graduating from the high schools not being able to get into any college.
But how many high schools does Baruch College work with now?
Right now we just have 3. We wanted, I always like to start with a small controlled number to make sure that all the bugs are worked out. But we are now ready to do this. Just our college alone, we certainly could do this with a dozen colleges.
Well, I hope we can expand it to every high school in the city
I
as fast
agree.
as possible. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye, but thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You can reach us by email at our website, www.cunytv.cuny.edu, to let us know what you think, or write to us at CUNY TV, 25 West 43rd Street, Suite 1220, New York, New York, 10036.